Everybody, I am actually really excited to have today's guest, Jon Hawes, founder of Rogues Island Mint. Jon has been a friend of mine now, I would say, for about 2 years now.
Absolutely, yeah.
And guys, what's exciting about this is Jon is a wholesaler for the precious metals industry, and a lot of people don't have a real understanding as to what goes on with the wholesalers. They don't know. They know the wholesalers exist, but now here we're actually putting a face to a company and giving you guys like an inside scoop on how everything works with the wholesalers coming right up. All right. So, Jon, thanks again for coming on today. You and I have been talking about this for a year,
Yeah, we've been
right?
talking about this for quite a while, and thank you for having me, by the way.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
I don't get out of my wholesale warehouse cave very often, so it's nice to be in the sunlight a little bit.
Yeah, and you've got a lot going on. And I just again want to thank you for, number one, for just helping me with my business as a dealer. A lot of you who are watching this video right now, and if you've ever purchased from me or you go on my website, I source a lot of my items from Jon, and it's been awesome working with you.
Same here.
And so thank you. So a couple of questions before we kind of get into the background of you and your story and how you got into this business. The question that I'm asked about the most, and I think that this is what the majority of people want to understand most, is why can't these retail customers, the people that are watching this video, the people that order from all the online retailers, myself, etc., why can't they just go straight to you and buy these products wholesale?
Great question. You're right. I hear it all the time. I think it's important to understand how the products end up coming from the person manufacturing them, which in most cases is a world mint, and gets in the hands of the dealers. And we are the facilitators for that. So we basically buy bulk quantities from different mints around the world, and then we distribute them throughout mostly North America in our case, but a little bit internationally. But there's guys like me all over the world that kind of, facilitate the distribution. Why can't a retail customer come to us? Well, the real reason is because in order for us to facilitate the wholesale to dealers like yourself, we have to work on pretty thin margins, because otherwise the pricing would be all out of whack, right? We have to pay the mint for the product, we have to sell it to you, we have to obviously make some money in between, but we work on thin margins because we sell in bulk. Like when we sell to dealers, you guys aren't buying one coin, two coins, three coins. You're getting boxes of product, and that's the only way we can operate on the margins that we do, is selling bulk product to dealers. If we were selling individual to retail customers, we would have to increase our margin to compensate for all the extra labor, all the extra time, communication, extra employees to handle way more sales and way more just transactions in general. So most distributors do it the way we do it because the wholesale model is tried and true. It's been in place since the 1700s, right? I mean, you could be importing tea, car parts, sneakers. It doesn't really matter. The wholesale model's always been the same. The companies make the stuff in a certain place, usually overseas. The mints are no different. They import the product to a handful of distributors in bulk, and then they distribute it to the dealers or retail shops or whatever the case might be so that they can sell it to the final customer. And that's kind of really the answer, is we can't afford to sell to individual retail customers. We can
Okay.
only afford to operate if we're doing it in bulk quantities. So,
What made you want to get into the wholesale side of the business as opposed to being a dealer like me, or having like a
it's
brick and
funny.
mortar?
Yeah, I actually was those things, right? When I
Okay.
first started, my first thing I did was I opened a traditional coin shop 15 years ago. And I think over time, I saw what I thought was a pretty big hole in the market, especially at the wholesale side,
Hmm.
because I was a dealer struggling to find sources for product that I wanted. And I said, wait a minute, now the big guys have this stuff. When I say the big guys, I mean, the big box retailers that we're all familiar with, the AppMexes of the world, if you will.
Yeah.
They have this product. I'm a dealer. I want to have this product for my customers. And yeah, I found some of it here and there, but I struggled to have a consistent source for this type of stuff. And I said, why is no one wholesaling to the average dealer, all these different world mints? The product is very popular. I mean, back then, we're talking 10, 12 years ago, the biggest mints that you'd see were Royal Canadian, Perth. New Zealand was coming on a little bit at that time. And, they had a lot of cool stuff coming out. And I was like, how do I get it? And I said, wait a minute, I need to flip the script here. I need to be the guy that brings it to the dealers.
Right.
And so I started trying to develop relationships with the mints, even back then, to what if I buy a bunch and then I had 5 or 6 other local dealers. I said, what if we all split it? I'll buy 100 from the mint and then we'll each take 10 or 15 and we'll have them for our customers. And it just kind of started like that. Eventually that brick and mortar business that I had got bought out by a bigger precious metal refiner that I worked with at the time. And I set up a trading department there I was there for 8 years. And we grew that same thing that I had started in my business with them over the course of those 8 years to the point where we were dealing with probably 70 or 80% of all the world mints, bringing in all the product that we thought was relevant to the North American consumer. Because you have to remember there's a lot of stuff that doesn't always resonate, depending on who's making it with the consumer here, which is our only real priority, is making sure that the topics and the subject matter and the pricing works here in the U.S. market. But if we thought that a mint had something that would work, we pursued it and tried to bring it in. And it just kept kind of growing in that way. There was a good response to it. Most of your, what I would call bread and butter dealers, brick and mortar guys, show circuit guys that do eBay, e-commerce, social media, of course, they all were looking for sources for new product lines, and it seemed like there was no way to get it. And that was the hole we were trying to fill. And it's just been great ever since. So
when did you break free from that company that purchased your old business?
Late September of 21. So it's
so 3 years
ago, yeah.
And what was funny too is you came up in my Instagram feed, and I would follow you, but I didn't understand as to what the page was at the time. Like, I thought you were just like another dealer. I didn't really pay too much attention because a lot of people on social media, I mean, they're just posting pictures of products and everything. And I forget what it was where I just ended up either reaching out to you or one day, like, just the light bulb clicked, or I was dealing with you, or I was like, oh, can I buy one of these? And you're like, if you need to set up a wholesale account. I forget what it was, but then I was like,
it was definitely a specific product. Yeah, there was something
but dude, I was so pissed at myself because, like, for like almost like a whole year before that, a lot of the products that I was buying or that I was interested in, I was buying either like retail or whatever and just using my reseller certificates or whatever. I had no idea that you were like the source. And so I was like paying so much more going to these other companies and everything. And then I figured out.
Advertising, yeah. I mean, thank you for saying that, by the way. Advertising is always tricky in the wholesale business because we want to attract dealers that need product. But at the same time, because we don't deal with the public, the retail public, most advertising is wasted because it's being seen by people that we can't sell to.
Right.
So it's always hard. So of course we have a social media. We have an Instagram and a Facebook where we just post pictures of some really cool products that we carry. And our hope is that if people reach out, we can refer them to dealers that will have that product for them. Right. So we can kind of send customers back to you in a way, right? But it's also, like you said, it's a way to have some awareness. People need to know your company exists. You don't want to be completely just off the radar.
Right.
But it is a tough line to be like, well, we don't want to advertise too much because we don't want a lot of people coming to us that we can't service. But at the same time, we still want people to know that we're there. And that's kind of the trickiest thing, I think.
Yeah, and I just remember being so pissed at myself because, and you understand too, with any business, there's always growing pains and trial and error, and you learn new things, you figure out stuff, and like the whole first year that I was operating, I remember I didn't even know about reseller certificates, so I was buying things, and paying tax on everything and then upcharging. Like, I just had no idea. So like that whole year, I'm like, oh my God, all those extra taxes that I paid, I could have avoided. And the other thing too, one of the biggest things that I have found as a dealer, one of the hardest things is locating guys like you and businesses like you, because nobody wants to give up their sources.
Yep.
And so I'm kind of taking a little risk here, you know, telling everybody that you're my source, but hey, you know what, it is what it is. Like I said, working with you for the last, you know, couple years has just been very beneficial to my business. And if anybody ever came to me and were like, oh, how's this, you know, company Rogues Island Mint, I would give you raving reviews. So
super appreciated. You know, it is always tough for us too, and not to go down a rabbit hole there, but like, we know there's dealers that probably could use our services, but it's tough for us to also know who they are, right? Yeah. It's tough to target market that in any way. And, you know, sometimes we like it to be grassroots. You know, we like somebody to hear about it from somebody like you, or we go to shows, you know, and we'll walk around and meet people and we see people that have some product that fits within what the type of things that we offer. And we go, oh, this could be a good fit. And we'll sit down and, you know, meet people that way. I think, you know, as a wholesale dealer relationship, there's not a lot of other ways to do it. I mean, you kind of have to just get to know people's needs and get to know their businesses organically.
Now, here's the other question too, because I am always asked, you know, what does it take to get into the business in terms of just buying and selling precious metals or becoming a dealer? And one of the things that I always tell them is, you know, you need a decent amount of capital. You need relationships. I feel like in your position, you probably needed even more of a substantial amount of of capital, just because, you know, again, you're initially you were getting a lot of the product for the dealers, and the connections again too. Like you said, like you were going to shows and. Like, how did you...
Into the business, I was going to say, getting into the business is, there's ways to do it on a smaller scale, certainly, right? Capital is always a factor. That's true in any coin business. I mean, you think, yes, it's tough for me, but imagine the guys who get into the bullion business. I mean, you really need some deep pockets to do that.
Right.
And not to say that we don't sell any bullion, but it's not our primary focus. I think the thing you have to understand is that the larger the manufacturer that you want to deal with, the more they're going to require you to buy to be in the door. Some of them have, you know, minimums, prerequisites. Hey, you know, they want to see your financials, believe it or not. There's a lot of, especially government mints, they want to see your purchase and sales. They want to see your profit and loss year over year. They want to see what your annual volume is, because they're trying to judge if you're somebody who's going to be big enough to be worth their while.
Okay.
And the bigger the mint, the more you see that, you know. So if you're getting into the business, I'd say start with smaller manufacturers. I mean, start with people that have lower minimums and that will allow you to offer products that maybe you don't have to buy 500 or 1,000 of, and then try to grow it, you know, slowly and surely. And then as you move up the ladder, you got to, you know, you go to the next place and the next place and try to build that. It takes time. I mean, it certainly takes time.
It's like a game.
But the reason for the capital is because if you start offering products, most of the products, the way the mints operate, most of them is they give you their upcoming product lineup. Sometimes one coin at a time, sometimes a month at a time, whatever it is, and you have a period of time to tell them how many you need. That's well before the coin is ready. So you've got to say, okay, well, thank you for this new catalog. I need 50 of those and 100 of those and 500 of those, and okay, great. And then they will bill you for those, and you'll pay them. And in the meantime, you know, my customers, I'm showing it to them too, of course. I'm saying, hey, this is the new stuff coming from whoever, Royal Canadian or whatever it is. But I'm not going to charge my customers until it's ready to ship to them. They need to have, you know that it's ready to go. And then you have a pretty good interim gap there of you're selling a lot of products. You've got to pay for those products before they come to you, and you can then have your customers pay you. So that's where the capital comes into play mostly.
I was going to ask you too, how often, now, before I ask you like my follow-up question, how often have you been stiffed by dealers who've either placed an order with you or said, hey, John, I'm going to need 20 of these, 30 of those and 10 of these, and then just like, you know what, I can't pay you?
The answer might surprise you. The answer in 2.5 years is twice.
Okay.
And I think that the trick is that because we're wholesale, we're only dealing with other businesses.
Yeah.
And we also vet those businesses when they apply.
I remember.
It's very unusual to see that, because they know if they stiff us, they know the word's going to get out that they're a non-paying dealer, which is even in some ways worse than a non-paying retail customer.
Right.
A retail customer may have a variety of reasons as to why their personal life has changed and something has come up and they're not able to pay for a product that they asked for. Whereas a dealer is doing it as a business. So there really shouldn't be, barring something crazy, of course. I mean, God forbid, but most of the time, if it happens, it's pretty rare, and it's only happened twice, and I think that's a pretty good percentage.
I would say that's a tremendous percentage. I would also say in your position, because I would imagine you have a very large dealer network. I mean, if you had to estimate how many dealers like myself that you work with, how many would you say? 100, 200?
I don't have to estimate. I actually know the exact number. As of yesterday, our normal offers go to 122 dealers.
Wow.
That's worldwide. It's not just North America, but yeah. I would say 80% of those are U.S. Yeah.
Okay. And for the record, just so everybody understands, I'm your favorite.
You are my favorite,
Clearly.
And you're the only one who I've ever gone on a show like this.
Look at that, guys. See, first I'm breaking ground here.
I've done a couple live sales at events, but I wouldn't really count that as like a interview type of thing, And
you and I, we also are very friendly with a lot of the same people, and I can't wait to show them this part here. That on record, I have you say.
Yeah, of course I'm going to have to make excuses now.
You'll be like, oh, he forced me to say that. Put me on the spot.
What did you want me to do? I'm on his show. I mean, come on. I mean,
we all know it's not true, guys.
Well, it's not about, it's funny. The customers in this, I love the business, by the way. I love the industry. I love the people I deal with, most of them. But even the ones that I maybe don't love, I still like, because... Does that make any sense?
It does. I get it. I have plenty of customers too, who some I just gravitate towards and like a lot more, and then there's others that it's like I like them enough.
Honestly, it's like family. I mean,
yes.
Your family. You there's going to be some people that you click with. Even though you didn't choose your family, right?
My music is playing like Ozzy Osbourne. Continue.
Hey, great. Awesome. Me and Ozzy go way back. That's a whole other story for another day. But your family is who they are, and we're in the coin family. This is like we're all dealing in the same very small. When you think about it, the industry isn't enormous because we're not in the old world numismatics business. I'm in the modern collectibles business, and so you kind of get to know everybody over time, and because we all gravitated to it for some particular reason. So there's a common thread that kind of binds us all together. And even if your personality and my personality might not mesh as much, we still have those common areas of interest and overlap. So
yes.
If I don't love you, I like you. I mean, there's at least that, right? I can't remember the last time I had a fight with a customer. Like, right. Honestly, it's almost unheard of.
You're also very... you're easy to work with, like even like some of the silliest stuff. Like if I ever had like an issue, and I think maybe only like there was 2 tiny things over the course of the 2 years, and you instantly take care of it. And I was going to say too, I feel like at least with your network of 122 dealers, that you. At least if you're ever in the position where one dealer stiffs you on something, I feel like then the likelihood of you being able to get that product purchased all the way through is probably high, because now you have another 121. You do a quick flash sale if you want to or something.
That's exactly what we do. We take whatever was in that customer's, we call it, a pile. It's obviously, it's a little more glamorous than that, but we call it a pile. They're the products that they asked for that have arrived. And that's the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to, it's like I said, the 2 times it's happened, we've taken that product and just said, who wants it? It's available. We're not looking to. We might be selling it pretty close to cost just because
just
it's
to
not
move it.
something that we need. Yeah, I mean,
there have been a couple times that I've gone on because I've gotten your alerts well after the fact. So or maybe actually not even well after the fact. Maybe it was 23 minutes later. I go and I see the alert from you that something was there. And I go and I click, and it's not available anymore. Of course, all the other products that were in that first come first served thing, the ones that I don't care about are still there or whatever. And then the one that I really want, it's gone. I'm like, oh, damn it.
23 minutes is old news.
I know.
No, it's funny. That has really become something that the dealers really seem to like. Now, we obviously sell in a traditional way 99% of the time.
Yeah.
We're going to present you with new products that are coming from mints. You're going to tell, you got a week to tell me or 5 days to tell me how many you need, and we're going to get the product for you. But once a week, we like to do I call it a claim sale, right? Even though that's a very retail thing to do.
Yeah, but
I think
it makes
it's a lot of fun because we get a lot of odds and ends. We get a lot of things that how's the best way to put it? We didn't think there would be enough quantity to offer it to everybody and let everybody say, well, how much they need. It might be something that a mint is discounting and getting rid of out of their stock. It could be a product that is heavily allocated so that, the mint said, hey, we can only give you 25. Well, I can't offer 25 coins to 122 dealers because everyone's going to get one or none, and that's not fair. So we take those items, and once a week we do this one, claim sale where it's like, hey, here's what came in this week. First come, first serve, have fun, and guys really have taken to it. That's why 23 minutes later, a lot of the stuff's gone.
I don't even know how many. In all of the claim sales, I maybe only was able to get a couple products because sometimes when those emails go out, I'm not at my.
Well, that's the tough part. I mean, we tell it is a weekly thing. It's scheduled, but I know a lot of times that time doesn't always work for everybody. And the funny thing is, we've talked to guys about moving it to different times to try to accommodate, but then it doesn't work for somebody else. It just doesn't matter.
It's what it is. No, you're not going to be able to please everybody all the time. You got to, and it's obviously working for you because the stuff sells out.
Stuff sells out. Yeah.
The other thing
we had one a week or two ago. We moved 1,000 coins in 35 minutes.
Oh my God!
The Marvel claim sale.
Oh well, the Marvel claim sale. I mean that product is hot. The Marvel and the DC, those things, man. And I was surprised too. And here's the other thing, guys. I was, I did the Death Stars.
Yeah.
Right. The 100 gram and the 300 gram, and again, those are higher priced items. But I was like, do I even bother offering these products because I feel like some of my people won't even buy it. Why not? And I was very surprised as to how many people jumped in on that, and the pricing, just again as just an example that everybody can see. There was enough profit in it from me to make it, in working with you, to make it worthwhile to my customers, and there was enough meat on the bone for them to make it worthwhile to buy it from me. So the point being is that you don't gouge. You're very, very fair with your pricing.
Well, I'll tell you our goal, actually. It's interesting, is that for the mints that also sell their own products retail, and New Zealand's one of those. I mean, New Zealand has a prominent retail website. Our goal is to get the product to you at a price that you can sell it to your customer at the very worst case for the same price as New Zealand.
Yep.
Or, I'm just using them in this example because that was their product. Or hopefully at a price that's a little bit better than New Zealand.
Yeah.
So that your customer has the incentive to buy it from you, because when they go out to buy it anywhere else, like from the mint itself, it's more expensive.
Yep.
So we try to do that with any mints that have a recommended retail or a published retail price. We want to make sure you can sell it to your customers below that if possible.
I sold the 100 gram, just so everybody understands, the 100 gram Death Star coin sells, or was selling, I think they sold out, on New Zealand Mint site for $3.49. I was able to offer it for $2.99, but then for the 300 gram, they were selling for $9.99, and I sold it for $7.59. A deep discount. That's 25% off. And coins like that, I mean, they do tremendous things in the secondary market. I mean, you look on eBay, comps are so high.
especially when they sell out as fast as they did. I
Yes.
think that's the key. You can always tell when you've got something that's going to appreciate quickly.
Yeah.
And it's another good one tonight. This is kind of a weird example, but it actually happened right before I came on to talk to you. Tonight, New Zealand released their new tarot card, which was the Devil.
Yeah.
And I got an email. I'm on their just regular retail, promotional list. So I got their email. Hey, don't miss out. This just came out. I think it came out at 5 p.m. Eastern or 4 p.m. Eastern time, because it's some weird New Zealand time or whatever.
Right.
But so it comes out at 4 p.m. I get the email, and it says, "Don't miss out. All the previous issues have sold out," and it has a link. Now, I didn't notice the email till maybe 4:15, 4:20, and when you clicked on it, it went there. It was already gone.
Oh yeah.
and it's like, that's the craziness. So that, because you remember what happened with the Death card. I mean, they were selling for $400 or $500. It's a 1 ounce silver coin.
Yeah.
And you can always tell if it's that hot. And you're a retail customer that's able to get it from a dealer like you at a reasonable price early on. You're going to have something in your collection that's worth 2 and 3 times very quickly, like
Absolutely.
within months. I mean, not even sometimes.
No, I mean sometimes. Even beforehand, like sometimes you'll see pre-sales pop up on eBay where they're going for more, and sometimes, and it's not just listings. Sometimes they're actually sold, And let me just see something here while we're on the. I just want to move. This is okay. People are used to me doing stuff on the fly. I got to move this over like that. That's fine. What was I going to ask you too? Oh, the other thing that I think is really cool that you do, and people don't necessarily realize it, is that you also make your own coins with several different mints throughout the world. I've sold a bunch of them. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking about the slot machine one.
Yeah, that was pretty recent. Yeah.
What else did you do recently? Like I've done a few that I think they're so cool. Did an exclusive? I don't know if you had designed this one particular, but you had an exclusive. Like wasn't it an Al Capone coin or something? Or
Yep. So that one wasn't our design, but that was exclusive for us. Yeah. The Peacemaker was the last.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The revolver.
The Peacemaker. That was the last one that we did. That was our design. It's actually, honestly, it's my favorite part of the job. I mean, obviously, when you're dealing with a group of dealers and you get used to what works and what doesn't, it's an opportunity to try to create some products for the U.S. market that that maybe the world mints wouldn't think to make because they don't always understand our tastes here. So we obviously we're already buying product from these mints. They're manufacturers, and they will make coins for bigger distributors as long as you're willing to do a very good sized mintage of them. And so, we like to do that at least once a month or so, have something that we created, that we had made, that's only available to the dealers that we wholesale to. You won't see it.
You're also...
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was going to say, I want people to understand, too, you're also the man behind the Beavis and Butthead...
That's true.
...shaped coins. You had... and there was, weren't there, 4 or 5 in the series? There was, the 2 of the regular ones, and there was, the Cornholio one.
Cornholio came out after that, yep. I don't know if they did a 4th one or not.
Either way, I remember you had them, and I thought that was so cool that you did those. What
a tricky part of it. Like I said, I love product development is my favorite thing, but boy, dealing with licensors can be a challenge. That's all I can tell you. We've got some other licensed stuff in the works right now, and it delays the process pretty significantly, and they will constrain what you're able to do. If you have an idea that you think will sell and it's not obviously intellectual property, you can get just about anything made. I mean, you can say, hey, I want a coin that's in the shape of a slot machine. I want a coin that's in the shape of, XYZ with color, with this size, whatever. And you can get a mint to do it, and you can get a country to approve it most of the time. But when it's licensed, it creates another person who has to be involved every step of the way.
Right.
So it's worth it. Trust me. I mean, it's the best-selling stuff in a lot of cases. But it is definitely a significant challenge compared to just making a regular coin.
How nervous do you get each time before you go and pull the trigger and commit to because I feel like there's a leap of faith there because you are signing off on a particular design that you really like, but you haven't necessarily shared it with all of your dealers, so you don't know if
Correct.
it's going to be a hit. So, and usually you have to do 500 or 1,000. So you pony up all this money,
Oh, with Beavis and Butthead, it was 2,000 because it was 1,000 of each character.
right? So
Yeah.
so you have to put out all that money, and then you have to hope that it's a success. Like
Yep.
yeah. So
You nailed it.
so for me, like
Yeah.
because I've spoken with you about ideas, and I'm like, I think it's a good idea, but sometimes I just don't have that. I don't know. I
It's
feel like it
actually
takes some
it's funny.
cojones.
It's the it honestly, if you're having those feelings, then you're doing the right thing, not pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
Don't ever pull the trigger on something like that until you feel like you can live with it either way.
Right.
Like if it bombs or if it doesn't, you're gonna be fine. Like the tricky part is it's the opposite of how we do everything else. Every business tries to mitigate risk. I mean that's our goal, right? So most of the time we're able to show you the products and say, hey, how many do you want? And we can order a few extras to make sure we're covered if somebody forgot or if something gets damaged. But we don't have to stock endless amounts of product that we don't need.
Right.
The exception to that is when you're making custom products from scratch because they won't make it for you if you're not going to order a big chunk. And there's die costs, there's art costs, there's all these different things that you have to make it worth their while as well. And the one unsung thing a lot of people forget is the countries that are involved.
Yeah.
So you could theoretically pay a mint to make only 100 coins for you if you're willing to spread the die cost only over 100 coins, but countries won't approve that. Countries won't let you make a Cameroon won't let you make 1,000 franc coin that only has 100 mintage.
Right.
So there's other factors that kind of have to go into it. Everything has to be approved by whatever legal tender effigy or legal tender entity you're going to use to make it a coin versus just a piece of metal.
Who are the people that you deal with? See, like I never understood like who the people were. Like is there a permit in the Department of Finance or something in one of these countries?
100%. Yeah, it's usually a monetary authority. Every country calls it something different, but a lot of them call it for the Cameroon Monetary Authority or the sometimes it's, believe it or not, sometimes it's the Bank of X. Like Banco de Mexico is the issuing country for Mexico. Now, Mexico will not let you make a custom coin with their name on it, but they are but some countries will. It just depends on who it is. It's usually, think of it just like licensing. It's exactly the same thing. Instead of licensing intellectual property like Beavis and Butthead, you're licensing the country's effigy and likeness, and they have to give you permissions. You have to show them the artwork that you're going to use so that they don't find it to be something that doesn't fit with their country's brand, if you will, right? Some countries are a little more lenient in terms of subject matter, and some aren't. There are some, if you show them a coin that has a gun or any nudity, and I don't mean like crass nudity, but even artistic nudity from, the middle, like a painting from the Middle Ages or whatever.
Right.
Any kind of weapons, any kind of drug reference like marijuana, things like that, they will never let you make it. But there are a few that will. But you have to ride a certain line and know who to go to for that.
Right.
But it's kind of like licensing. It's not really much. You pay them a fee to be able to use their country's legal tender. They get a cut either per coin or per. You can get yearly contracts with them that however many coins you produce are covered in that. But they still have to approve each design. But you can do I mean, I can give you I'm not going to put exact dollars to it, but in theory, you could go to Nui, is one you see all the time, right? And you could pay Nui $50,000 a year to make as many coins as you want, as long as they approve the designs. Or you could pay them just per project. It's going to be a little more expensive for that one project, but you won't have to pay. If you're not going to make that many coins with them, you don't need to pay them $50,000.
It's funny. It's like it's just funny that they would offer like a subscription service type of thing.
Buy in bulk. It's the same thing, right? It's if you're going to do a lot of coins, we'll give you a better overall deal.
Do they compete? Do they compete with each other? Do you think? Do you think there's people in the Department of Finance in one of these island nations that are like, oh, the Tuvalu, we're going to really stick it to them this year, guys. We're going to
It's
lower
crazy. It does happen. That's not a joke. Mostly amongst the African countries, but you don't understand sometimes like how much money that actually brings to a very small nation.
Okay.
Because you rarely see modern countries, modern industrialized nations allowing people to. You're not going to see a Germany on the back of a modern collectible coin,
Right.
unless the German mint themselves made it, which is unlike.
Right.
France does it, but the Mint of Paris is the monetary authority for France. They make all the euros for France, but they also have licenses with Disney. But so they've chosen to go down that road, but they won't let me go to them and say, "Hey, I want to make a coin that's from France." They won't let me do it. The African countries are very open to it, meaning Chad, Ghana.
I was going to say, you see stuff from
Cameroon,
Chad. Mm-hmm.
Ivory Coast. You go up and down. You see all the same ones kind of repeated, right?
Right.
And then all the small island nations. So Niue, Tuvalu, Tokelau, Solomon Islands, Cook Islands, Samoa.
Yeah.
Exactly. They have extreme. If you look up these countries, I mean, some of them are obviously very beautiful tropical places like Fiji, right? But they're extremely small in terms of population and GDP.
Yeah.
So if you're paying them $50,000 a year to make some coins, that goes a long way in Tuvalu. Okay, I mean, no joke. And I know a lot of the guys on the mint side, they do a lot more dealing with the monetary authorities than somebody like me would, right? So they go to those places. I've talked to owners or project development managers at these mints who travel to Tuvalu or the Solomon Islands, and they tell me like the whole place has like 800 people. You know what I mean?
Do they?
I mean, that's the perception.
So do the guys at the mints? Do they kind of act on your behalf for the most part? Like because
it
they have to
depends.
really okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're dealing with a large mint, they're already going to have those kind of contracts in place.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll already have paid their yearly fee to whatever country to make as many coins as they want. So really, at that point, it's just a matter of them running your design by them to get approval.
Gotcha.
If I'm dealing with a smaller manufacturer, one that is, I'm not talking about the Perth mints of the world or the Mint of Poland or those types of places. But if I'm dealing with a smaller manufacturer, yeah, a lot of times I will have to go and get the approval myself if I want to do something, because that's not something they do on a daily basis. It might be a manufacturer that's normally not making legal tender coins, but they're making metals, bullion, things of that nature, and I'm asking them to make a legal tender coin, so I have to bring it to them.
Right. So what we're going to do, I think, John, because we've been going now for nearly 40 minutes, and so what I'm thinking is I'm going to break this video into two parts for the viewers, and I have other questions that I think I can ask you at a further date, and we'll get together again.
Anytime you want.
Dude, I appreciate you. And guys, again, if you're not already just at least following Rogues Island Mint on Instagram, give them a follow, and keep in mind that John, again, he's been a business associate of mine. I've been buying from him now for 2 years. A lot of the products that you guys see, and just a great wealth of knowledge, and just a great guy. So I want to thank you again for your time and kind of letting us kind of see behind the curtain.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you see something on our Instagram that you like, contact Stormy.
There you go.
Because he's going to be able to get it.
That's it.
So there you go. Problem solved. Problem solved.
Problem solved indeed. Thanks so much, buddy. And I can't wait for our next call.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.